Next slide. Crash. This is a boundary concept. It works for us. It doesn't always. I'll show you the second the clip from this year. It could have been very, very bad. Could have been very, very bad. But, the strain is on our strong safety. He's really got to move. He's really got to go. And that's the one thing. Yeah, you may have to just start that right from the beginning, this shitty clip. But you see, we're coming from the boundary here. A little bit tighter in his. He's going back. Pitch. We're blowing it up now. Again, based on count systems, and I know they're in a bone, a little bit different formation, but nonetheless, it'd be no different if he was lined up right here. The quarterback's not expecting it, right? It's just another option to stop the option.
Do you run that quite a bit?
We ran it twice this year. Yeah, the first time the wide receiver pointed out, and I don't know if they had a pass already called, but like I said, I'll show you the next clip.
Was your cornerback just creeping in too early?
Yeah, I mean, so like I said, we slice our boundary corner in run game, and we don't want him to show anything. We're playing press. On the snap, he's taking that outside foot, putting his back to his chest, and he's just simply skating and sliding it in. That's what we're expecting from him. I mean, it's going to take a little bit for this play to get there. You can see Alex Swanson. He thinks he's too smart for his own good, and freaking, it could have been really bad. And I don't know if they checked that. I don't think they did. But if you go to the wide again, he's already starting to creep. He's already starting to creep. And if a quarterback can see it, I mean, based on your peripheral, I don't know if he can. It definitely can be bad. And obviously, you see his approach. I mean, in our eyes, we call that a loaf. I mean, he's going too slow. I mean, a corner crash, you got to go. You got to move your ass, right? Anything that we do, you got to go. Especially against these guys. And luckily, we had these guys. Our defensive line swatted the ball down. Next clip. Any questions on corner crash? That's a 2-3 call a game. For what it's worth. Switch call. So all we're doing now is we're switching the outside linebacker and the safety's responsibility. This is third quarter, right? All of a sudden, they go into halftime and they go, okay, we know how they're going to line us up. Right away. This guy's always going to quarterback, always going to pitch. When we switch it, we make this guy have to make a decision. We hope it's the wrong one. This one could have been a bad play. Luckily, we end up getting the quarterback down. He's going right to pitch now. Right? He needs to work a little bit more width, and he needs to be downhill. You can see right now, we got two guys almost formed in the same land, but we got great defensive line pursuit. So though our secondary is a huge piece in this, it's getting off blocks, not getting cut, and that's a huge approach we can cut. Again, the switch call, we don't call this a lot, we call it a couple times, but it's the ability just to put him on a different player, him put on a different player. So it's a little bit different than what I showed you in the Matrix, but still, it's just giving them a different look. Okay? And knife, this was a huge play for us. This now is with our end and our outside linebacker. Okay, end and our outside linebacker. The tackles were starting to outside release. Okay, we were playing them so heavy. We were almost playing fours sometimes. They just could not be released. So they started to outside release and get us wide. So we made about 6 knife calls in a row. Because guess what? We'll put it right on quarterback now. That's fine. You want to bring us to him? Bring us to him. And now our outside linebacker, who was key in that wing, no matter what he does, he goes right to dive. A couple times it worked, and then on the goal line, he doesn't go to dive and they score. Luckily we still got the win, but obviously some things can go wrong there. You can see he's starting to creep a little bit. It's already starting to happen. He's going right to dive. He's going right to that ball's pitch. Our quarterback player, right, is going with it. He's going to get wide. If he's going to pitch that ball, I'm going to give Nate Burchell the least amount of opportunities if I'm an offense. I mean, he's pretty athletic. He can chase things down. And we also had support players with our safeties. Okay, so again, just giving him a different look, doing something on the line that's going to make him think the read's there now. It also works great if they're going to go counter back to the boundary. They were a big counter back to the boundary team. The one thing, when you watch this clip again, one thing you got to be aware of, obviously, is any type of G-scheme, any type of kick back. You need to just box that, shiver it with that inside forearm, hold your base, and just really don't move. Okay, you got to have an anchor point to that. This is the goal line where he doesn't do his job. He's a dive player. He gets too far upfield. That play is null and void. We ended that play right now unless he pulls it. But if they're going to give the ball, which it looks like here, you know, quarterback is pretty determined to do that, especially later in the game, he just has to do his job. He takes 2 steps, flat foot read, he's got to bang his feet, zit his feet, come to balance and look. And don't go till you know. I think he assumed this ball was going to be pitched because of earlier plays when we called knife. Obviously does the wrong thing and they score. Next.
Is that it, Coach?
Is it?
I'm not getting
Yeah.
anything else.
There any questions about anything that you guys do? You know, obviously, you know, from our standpoint and how we defend the option, we're using our back end. That may or may not work. Like I said, we had a staff coming on Wednesday, and he didn't trust his back end to make those plays. But then you saw Somerset, and I don't know if anyone here is from Somerset, but you saw Somerset get 12, 15, 20-yard gains because their safeties and corners are just bailing. You know, and they got guys really deep making plays and hopefully not getting beat by the pass. But, you know, their objective in my eyes, based on what they run, is not to throw the ball. And I think that's pretty easy to say, right, based on what they run. So let's stop what they're good at. I mean, we're gonna just try to limit them. And if they beat us with a pass, and like I said, they hit a 52-yard pass on us. You know, they didn't score that drive, so it worked out in our favor. Okay, but I'd rather give up passes all day to an option team than them run for, they were averaging 300-something yards. We got them to 217 that game. So we'll take that.
What gives you the hardest, what gives you the biggest headache with a triple out? If you could just pinpoint one.
Counter option.
Counter option.
If you have guys that are very good, and that's why we, obviously when you do tendencies and all that stuff, they were big wing counter and counter option back to the boundary for some reason. In my eyes, that's much easier than to the field. Just because you have the 12th defender with the sideline, we really preach that. It's like, hey, string that fucking thing out, let it go. I have no problem with it. They get 2-yard gain on the counter option. I'm okay with that. But if you have a team with really good A-backs, especially if you have A-backs that aren't motioning on snap, and they can still effectively run counter option, I'd like to see that. I think that would be extremely tough. But, to me, that's just difficult. Any other questions, guys? Go.
When you get a tight end in the game, are you staying in like an overfront, or do you go to an underfront? Maybe,
Well, if you want to just go to, want to just pull this clip up and I'll just do it. Yeah. Go ahead, pause real quick. Okay. So, if this split end now is a tight end, right? Apologize. So if this guy's a tight end here, okay? All I said from an adjustment standpoint is we're just going to walk him out and he's playing a 9 technique on the tight end. So he's now not 2x3 or 1x4. Our alignments may always change, especially if we're leading, we want to just keep the things in front of us. He's going to play a 9 technique and he's going to strike just like he would if he was a defensive end. He's just going to squeeze that thing down and play quarterback right there. He's going to play quarterback from that alignment. And then it's going to give you more of a 61 look. Luckily, when I was at Bridgewater, when we played Springfield, they used a lot of tight end to the boundary, and then we're running counter option to the boundary, which they start to pin pull that wing, and that fucks you a little bit, especially if your corner isn't aggressive. But these guys did not use a tight end. These guys were 92% flex bone, this formation. So you talked about what hurts you. Well, what makes me really happy when you do not try to formation us in an option. Stay in one formation, that's fine. We can move things around. You start putting all these new formations in, that screws us. Obviously, I don't know if that answered your question. I don't know. Is that what you guys see? You guys see more of the tight end here with the wing inserted between the tackle and tight end? Yeah, from our standpoint, and that's what the staff does on Wednesday, we're just going to put him down in line technique. We just don't want to ever out-leverage ourselves. They were not doing that. Their outside linebacker was where our outside linebacker is. So they were getting a pin and a pull right to the corner. They pitched that thing for days. That A-back probably had 20 yards rushing that game from Somerset. Any other questions?
Coach,
Yeah.
you talked about that post wheel, you were talking 60-40 with your corner. Could you?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I have. We'll just go back a couple slides, just that arrow a couple over, and just to a wide shot. No, you keep going. If you want to just go back to front in the blue maps.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just keep going. That's fine, yeah, we'll play and just see the, go to the
Nice.
Yeah, I'll show you here.
Got it.
So, you wanna pause it right there?
Yep.
Okay, so let's not talk about what this guy's doing motion, right? But whatever, let's just say this motion's here, and this becomes a wheel, and this becomes a post ball, okay? Doesn't matter what's on, spin, lock, no.
How do you play?
Yeah, so if we had spin on, we'll talk about, let's go through the progression. So if we had spin on, obviously, this guy's cranking down, this guy's playing the middle of the field, the true post player, okay? If you see, I mean, besides this guy, and we did some different things, but Brian's outside always. And that's to be able to see that. So, like I said, slash release for these guys, they're stepping up. They're stepping up and their eyes are going to the backfield. And just my experience with it, these guys are running a little bit differently if they're going to block you or if they're fucking trying to get out to the field for a wheel route, right? So his eyes right away, if you get a slash release, his eyes are going right to that wing. The wing's now outside, and it basically now on the outside becomes man coverage. Now when we play Blue Max, these guys are almost out of the picture. So this probably goes more to your question,
Yeah.
okay? Where though they can help late, if they're not there, I can't get mad at them. So this corner now, either skate or weave, he's working inside and 60-40. All I mean by that is he needs to give a little bit more weight to the inside route, be it the post ball, just so that ball doesn't go right down the chute and freaking score. That's really where we see more teams that are running verticals, right on that pop pass. They're here, 1-2, and they're looking right to it. We just want to get him in a position so if that ball is thrown, he can put his foot in the ground, vision, and break and drive. Because on those plays, that's the ball, the shoot ball, right up the seam. Those are the big plays. Right? Like I said, we're going to let this guy throw that outside route. That's why we're going to give it a little bit less. Because most of the time, these guys do not have the best arm. In Rippon's case, when we played them, when they threw the ball, they brought in a different kid. Now, they still ran some option, but we knew this kid was going to be the predominant thrower. Well, obviously, that helps. If you have a kid that can sling the ball and run option, that's a little bit of an issue, you know. But it's much harder, especially on play action, to set up as the pocket is collapsing and throw that ball. Most of the time, it's not going to be on a dime. He's going to give a little bit more air. So from our standpoint, we're gonna skate it inside. We're gonna pedal and weave. As that ball's coming, I'm just 45, open and turn, and just trying to make a play on the ball. Anything else? Like I said, I have no problem sending this to you. I know, we're a little far away. If you want to talk more, I got no problem, whatever you do, and try to help you out for what it's worth. Not saying what we do is the only way, but it works for us, which we'll continue to tweak some things and try to go visit some places, and just like you guys are today. So I appreciate it, obviously appreciate the time. Like I said, if you guys want this stuff, I'm more than happy to have it. So thanks again, guys.